Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev, and in this video, it's the third video in our course, we're going to start working on actually like writing scripts. So showing you like how could you create something even now, even at the level of Python you know now in just 2 videos, could you start writing something that might be useful for you? Okay, so let's make a new file, and we're going to create something called tip calculator. Tipcalculator.py. Okay, so maybe you like to always add 20% tip, okay, but you don't like having to do the math every single time, okay, and you just want to have a script that kind of does this for you, okay. Um, Here's what you can do. Well, there's a function in Python that allows you to sit there and say, hey, can you give me some input? Like, hey, so we can say something like input. So this function, again, the way you always know something's a function is that there's a word and then you have to put parentheses after it, because that means I'm using the function. The term is invoke. And then functions like print. Print was another function we've used so far. Usually functions can sometimes take information so that way we can use it in different ways. So in this case, input allows you to declare a prompt. So I'm going to say, hey, you know, how much was the bill? Okay. And then it's going to allow us to like give us a number. But we want to save the result of that question in a variable. So input is going to have a return value, which means the function is going to give us something back that we can use. So it's going to take that user's input and give it back to us. So I'm going to want to save that, and we'll call it, a variable called bill. So bill equals input, how much was the bill? Okay. But here's the thing. Input's always going to return a string. Okay, and again, when we learned about different types, I got to make sure I convert that. Okay, it's also referred to as typecasting. So in that case, if I know that input's going to give me back like so if I write 500, I'm getting back the string of 500, not the integer of 500. So in that case, I may want to turn it back into a number. So I might do wrap this in int to turn it back into a number. Okay, so basically, I'm going to take whatever the user gives me, turn it into an integer, and then, wrap it and then save it in this variable called bill. Okay. Then we're going to calculate the tip. So we'll say tip equals the bill, whatever the bill is, times 1 times 0.2. Okay, that'll be the tip. Okay. And then we can print the result. So we'll say print, okay, we'll use a format string. So F quotation marks. We'll say the tip is, because again, I'm basically multiplying it by 20% here. That's what that means. 0.2 would be 20%. The tip is tip for a total bill of, okay, and then we'll say, bill plus tip. Okay, see, I can even put in an expression right in the curly brackets if I wanted to. Okay, and now I have actually a useful program. Okay, and we didn't use anything that we haven't kind of covered yet. Okay, this is all just math expressions, whatnot. So now if I run this code, python tipcalculator.py, see how much was the bill. We'll say the bill was 432. The tip is 86.4 for a total bill of 518.4. Cool. Okay, now imagine you wanted to use this for like figuring out like your bill or your taxes. So you can already kind of create useful scripts that kind of help you in your daily life. If it's just for like figuring out things and answering questions you have to ask yourself all the time and doing calculations you may have to do all the time, and just creating a nice quick script that does that. Okay, but we can make it more and more complicated. Okay, because what if we want to have a program that can handle, instead of having to write one file that does one thing, which is totally fine. What if I want to create like one big script that allows me to do all sorts of different kind of calculations? Okay, we're going to call this myutility.py. Okay, so this is where we can start saying, hey, we want our program to do different things depending on what I ask it to do. And this is where we're going to bring in what's called if statements. This is called control flow. Okay, so we're going to ask the user being like, what do you want to do today? Okay, so we'll say con, so const, not const, sorry, JavaScript. Choice, we'll just say choice equals input. What do you want to do today? And a cool thing you can do with strings is that if you use 3 quotation marks, then you can make this multiple lines. Okay, so I can now do that, and then type out something nice and complicated here. So I can be like, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do today? And I can give a couple different options. So we'll say like A is going to be calculate tip. B calculate tax. And we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so we'll have 2 choices. And that's the cool thing about these like triple quotation marks. I can now stretch it across multiple lines. Then again, if I put an F in front of it, then I can do the whole inject variables thing. Okay, cool. So that's nice. But how do I know whether the user chose A or B and to tell it to do the right thing? This is where if statements come in pretty handy. So first we want to handle the first situation. What if they chose A and said they wanted to? So they type in the letter A and they hit enter. So we'll do something. We use what's called an if statement. And if takes a Boolean expression, basically saying, okay, if what? So in this case, I'm trying to say if choice, because we're saving the result of input in the variable choice, if choice equals the letter A. If choice equals the letter A, and then whenever you use an if statement, and this is going to be for any kind of block, so when we talk about loops and other types of code blocks, generally what's going to happen is that you'll denote that you're going to start a code block with a colon. So that's telling me, hey, I'm going to start a block that belongs to this if statement. And then on the next line, you do a tab. So you see how it's like tabbed in there? The code going forward has to be aligned. So Python handles code based on alignment. So there's no curly brackets and all that stuff like you might see in JavaScript to tell you, hey, this code belongs to the if statement. Instead, it's based on the indentation. So in this case, then here I can, so A is calculate tip. I can then like copy the code from here. Just literally just run that same code. So let's do that. But again, all this has got to be indented. So that way it belongs to that if statement. Okay, and there's that one. Okay, now what I want to do is maybe, what if it's B? Okay, then I'm going to do elif, because I'm going to say what if it's not A, check if, else if, elif, check if choice equals B. Okay, and then B is calculate tax, so we might say, hey, tax equals, input, and then again, we're going to convert that to a number anyways. Input, what is the tax amount? I need to put quotation marks around that. Okay, what is the tax amount? And then again, I'll ask for what like the bill is. Okay, and then we will just say like print f the tax would be bill times the tax divided by 100 because you want the percentage. Okay, cool. And so we'll evaluate that expression before printing it out. Okay, and then what happens if they didn't choose A or B? Well, we can then do else. And then else would just be whatever I want to happen in any other situation. So in that case, print you did not choose A or B. Okay, so now I can run this code. So I can say a Python my utility. Okay, and I see like there's like the prompt. Okay. Oh, I wrote calculate. Yeah, calculate. So let's do calculate tip. How much was the bill? We'll say 455. Okay, and there we go. I get my tip amount. Okay. Now let's try this again. I'll run the script again. Okay, and then I'm going to say, hey, let's do calculate tax B. What is the tax amount? We'll say 8%. And then how much was the bill? We'll say 100. And the tax would be 8. Okay, that's correct. Okay, so that works. Now let's try the other option. Okay, I'll type C, and it says, hey, you did not choose A or B. Okay, so you see, depending on what I chose, I ran the Boolean statement that triggers whether the code inside of the if runs, and then again, I can use the else if for other situations, and so forth. Okay, and then that ends up making my life a lot easier. Okay, so that's the how if statements work and how we can use them to make actual, like, you can start making again useful scripts for yourself right out of the gate, which is pretty fun. So with that, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day and enjoy.